Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official Week 9 college football prediction video where I predict the final scores of all of the ranked games that are happening this weekend. And wow, is it a doozy of a weekend. Happy Halloween to everyone. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description, but let's get right into this video. We've got a Thursday game, and I said this in my betting video. It would almost seem unnatural at this point if Coastal Carolina played on a Saturday. Like, they're always playing on a Wednesday or Thursday, but they look to get back on track at home against Troy. 7:30 start time, and I've got Coastal Carolina an easy win, 48-28, with Grayson McCall, one of the best quarterbacks in college football. I love the over 52 in this, by the way. Coastal Carolina gets it done. A lot of people hate Coastal Carolina due to how bad their schedule is. I kind of like them due to how bad I don't know, it's kind of weird, but I was rooting for them to beat Appalachian State. They ended up losing. It was a tough road loss. They're going to get back on track. I think they fell to 24th in the AP poll. Thursday night game, nice little vibe to kick off Halloween weekend. I like what I'm seeing with this game. 48-28, an easy over hit. Moving on to the noon window on Saturday, we have Tulane traveling to Cincinnati to face a team that needs a big win. Cincinnati did not look good last weekend at Navy. They win this one 45-17. Cincinnati knows they need style points. They need to win this game, especially really big due to their poor performance at Navy. Not to make an excuse for Cincinnati, but facing a triple option team, a team that runs the ball a lot, that eats up a lot of clock, that can be a little annoying. Okay, I'm not trying to make an excuse. They should have beaten Navy a lot easier, but I did have them winning last week 24-21, a lot closer than people expected. They were 28-point favorites. They end up winning, what was it, 20-7 or 27-20. They were up like 27-13 late in that game, and then Navy scored a touchdown. But the bottom line here is they need style points. They know it. You're facing a Tulane team who's decent on offense, terrible on defense. I could see Cincinnati scoring 50+ easily. At home, noon start time, they get a win. I believe they're 24-point favorites. We've got another noon game, a big one in the Big Ten, the Battle of the Undefeateds, one of the biggest game possibly of the weekend. Michigan at Michigan State, and I have Michigan State in a close, low-scoring game. If this is not a close, low-scoring game, I will genuinely be shocked. I would not be at all surprised if Michigan won this game. The only thing I would be shocked with is if it's not close and if it's not low scoring. I love the under in this game. You've got two quarterbacks who are more game managers. I guess Peyton Thorne does throw the ball down the field a lot more with those Michigan State receivers, but you're talking about a Michigan State team who relies on the run, who relies on Kenneth Walker. We know Michigan relies on their running game significantly. They struggle to create big plays, and that's one of the main concerns I've had with Michigan. They've had such a great year, they've performed so well above expectations. I'm concerned they don't produce enough big plays through the passing game when Michigan State, a good defensive team, limits them in the run game. Will Cade McNamara be able to produce those big plays down the field, especially with their best weapon, Ronnie Bell, who was injured and out for the year since week 1. So we'll have to see. Should be a great game. It's annoying that it's at noon. This should be on at 3:30. I hate Big Ten noon, Fox noon. It sucks. It's so annoying, but I do have Michigan State. Great, low-scoring, Big Ten grinded-out type game. Another noon game. You want to talk about low scoring. Iowa at Wisconsin, and I do have Iowa winning this one 21-17. The over-under in this game, the last time I checked, I believe 36.5. Just crazy numbers for college football, but this is an 11 a.m. local time start in Wisconsin. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Two great defenses, two bad offenses. We're looking at something like 3 to 3.5, maybe 6 to 3, something like that. But Iowa actually is an underdog in this game. Wisconsin's kind of had a weird season. They are what they are. They're a really good defensive team and a really bad offensive team. Iowa, I think people may be overreacting a little bit. Iowa was never the number 2 team in the country. The only reason they were ranked second was because people overreacted to their win against Penn State. They had an early season week 1 win against Indiana because people thought Indiana was going to be good. Turns out Indiana's not very good. So people kind of overrated Iowa. But now I think people are kind of underrating them. So I have, after their loss to Purdue. So I have them beating Wisconsin 21-17. I think it's going to be a very close game. Another noon game. This one should be very high scoring. We've got Texas at Baylor. And I have Texas pretty handily in this one, 44-27. I think this is on ESPN, if I'm not mistaken. 44-27. I love Bijan Robinson. I'm expecting 3 total touchdowns, possibly 2 rushing, 1 receiving. I think this is what we like to call a correction game, meaning I believe Texas is better than their record says they are, and I believe Baylor is worse than their record says they are. So if you add those two together, Texas wins, Baylor loses. Perfect symmetry. That's how mathematics work, ladies and gentlemen. 44-27. Book it. Moving on, we've got Miami traveling to Pitt. This is a tough game for Miami. I have Pittsburgh winning 38-17. I think Pitt could genuinely completely blow out Miami, especially if they get up early and it's about 45 degrees in Heinz Field. Noon start time. Miami is not going to be up for this game at all. You know, I think they're a 500 team. What are they? 3-3, 3-4, something like that. They did get a big win versus NC State, but it was a home game. It was 7:30, prime time. You're traveling north, 50-degree weather, 45-degree weather, Heinz Field, 37-degree wind chill, something like that, cloudy, facing a tough offense. Pittsburgh, a team that's very motivated right now. You've got Kenny Pickett, deeply entrenched in the Heisman conversation. And for Pittsburgh, this is a very important game. You get the big win versus Clemson. Don't get overzealous. Calm down. Handle your business. You have one loss. It's a very bad loss against Western Michigan. Beat Miami and beat them badly. I have Pittsburgh minus 11 in terms of the spread in this game. I think they cover it easily, and then them winning it 38-17. Iowa State at West Virginia. West Virginia, really not very good. How about this? A 2 o'clock start. Have we seen a 2 o'clock start before with one of these teams like this? Normally, only the MAC schools get around 2 o'clock starts. I have Iowa State continuing their midseason run, easily beating West Virginia. West Virginia has a terrible offense, by the way. 34-17 here, Iowa State. So what happened to Iowa State was people overrated them, during the preseason, and I had said they were one of my most overrated teams. I said they're not going to live up to expectations. This is a smaller school. There's no way they're going to be top 10. But then they lose 2 games, and then everyone undervalues and underrates them. I really didn't love their performance against Oklahoma State. Personally, I don't think Oklahoma State's very good. I thought Iowa State was going to beat Oklahoma State by at least 10, maybe even 17, and they kind of hung on to one. They win. They didn't cover the spread, but they did win, and they did knock off an undefeated team. I think they continue it. West Virginia has a terrible offense. Iowa State, Brock Purdy, Breece Hall, getting it together. Like I said, they get a win 34-17 here. We've got the Georgia taking on Florida. This is the neutral site game on CBS. They do this every year. I have Georgia winning a game that's closer than expected, 31-24. Florida seems to do this. Florida is crazy, by the way. So right now, this is an interesting thing with Florida. They're 4-3 on the year, yet they're number 7 in FPI, in ESPN FPI, and they're facing Georgia. So what I would imagine is going to happen, imagine Florida loses a close game to Georgia. They're not going to drop in the FPI because ESPN has Georgia number 1 in their FPI. So Florida legitimately could be a 4-4 football team, but remain as a top 7 or top 8 team in the FPI, if that makes sense. It's a crazy, quirky thing with analytics to where Florida, every team they beat, they're destroying, and every team they lose to, it's kind of these unlucky games where they're facing a really good team. The Alabama game where they played Alabama really well, you lose that game, but the analytics tell you had a good game because Alabama's so good. This is another game, neutral site game. Georgia, number 1 team. I think Georgia wins, but I think Florida, it's closer than expected. I saw the overall line was Georgia minus 14. I think Florida covers that. I think they really do. 3:30 start time, neutral site game. That game is at the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium, by the way. We've got another 3:30 window game here. Texas Tech at Oklahoma. Love this one to be a high-scoring affair, 52-28. Caleb Williams, the hype is kind of dying down a little bit, but I do like them big in this one over Texas Tech. Also, Oklahoma's defense really isn't impressing me. I know they had the whole thing last year where they were improving with Alex Grinch and, look at us now, we're a defensive team. Yeah, they're just not impressing me. You look at what Kansas was able to do against them, move the ball in the first half, ball control. I mean, they're just not impressive. That's not a championship caliber defense there. I do have them beating Texas Tech. Texas Tech can score. They really can. Maybe this is more of a shootout game. Maybe I'm misreading this. Instead of 52-28, maybe it's 52-45. I don't know, but I have this kind of as an Oklahoma team after their close call at Kansas, refocusing this week and really hammering Texas Tech at home in a 3:30 window game. We've got another 3:30 game. How about Colorado at Oregon? Oregon still trying to, battle for the playoff. Got a big win last weekend. I have Oregon winning this game 38-10. Colorado, really, really, really bad offense. One of the worst offensive teams in college football, along with Wyoming. Oregon, on the other hand, you got to give Oregon credit. That was a big win they had last weekend, against at UCLA. I thought UCLA was going to win that game. UCLA was 1.5-point favorites, but Oregon gets it done. And then this game, what are they, 25-point favorites in this one? I have them winning it handily. Colorado is not good. We've got a rare 4 o'clock start time. How about Duke at Wake Forest? Wake Forest with a huge win last weekend, scoring 70 points, and I have them maybe coming down a little bit, up only to 36 points, but winning this game easily, 36-14 at home. Wake Forest still is undefeated. And I really haven't checked their schedule, but it is pretty crazy. I did have them losing in a very close game against Army last weekend, but my goodness, their quarterback turned into Joe Montana. Every time I checked the game, the dude threw like for 470 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. It's crazy. Winning this one, I might be underrating Wake Forest's offense in this game. They might score 50 plus again, but 36-14, very easy win against an overmatched Duke team. On to the 7 o'clock games. We've got Ole Miss at Auburn. Really, really good game here. Really good game. I do have Ole Miss ending up winning this one 37-28. I just think Ole Miss is the overall better team. Auburn has a little bit of a better defense, but just the offensive advantage Ole Miss is going to have with Matt Corral. This is a good spot for his Heisman chances, although Matt Corral, I think he has, 5 touchdowns in his last 3 games, 5 touchdown passes. To me, you're out of the Heisman race. I'm sorry. Matt Corral every week I keep expecting Matt Corral to throw 5 or 6 touchdowns against these subpar SEC defenses, and it's just not happening. Well, this is a decent SEC defense. Let's see what he can do. I've got them beating Auburn, but I got to be honest, guys. I could see Auburn winning this game. At home, absolutely. It's not like Ole Miss is this, unbeatable team. What is Ole Miss, 1.2 or, maybe 2-point favorites? This game's in primetime, 7 o'clock. It's a really good game. It's going to be a really good SEC game. This is another good SEC game. Kentucky at Mississippi State. I do have Mississippi State pulling off the upset at home against Kentucky. Just don't love Kentucky's offense overall. They do everything well, but nothing great. Kentucky overall as a team. Mississippi State, that air raid. I don't love the air raid style, but you're at home. You got the cowbells going. Mississippi State's won a few big games this year. I've got them in a close one. That's another 7 o'clock start time. So those are 2 really fun SEC games. 2, evenly matched teams, both kicking off at 7 o'clock. Another 7 o'clock game. How about Kansas at Oklahoma State? Oklahoma State looking to get back on track at home against Kansas. Kansas, of course, almost knocked off Oklahoma at home. This one, I've got Oklahoma State handling their business versus Kansas, 42-14. I do not think this game is going to be close at all. I think that's the exact spread. I think the spread, maybe the spread's 25. I don't know the exact spread, but I thought it opened Oklahoma State minus 28. They should win this game very easily. Kansas, you may see a few people throwing some money on them to cover the spread due to their performance last weekend, but I personally think they just caught lightning in the bottle in a bottle for about one half, and then it fizzled out. Oklahoma scored 35 points in the second half. 7 o'clock game, SMU at Houston. Really fun game here. Really fun. And I do have Houston winning a very high scoring game that would knock SMU off of the unbeatens. If you're Cincinnati and you're trying to get into the playoff, you are rooting heavily for SMU in this one. You want them to be undefeated when you face them at home towards the end of the season. SMU is up to 19th in the AP poll. If they win this game, they'll probably be fringe top 15. Houston is not a bad team. That would be a good road win for SMU. SMU, really good offense, bad defense at Houston. Houston's going to feed off of that energy. They can score a little. I've got Houston maybe in a walk-off field goal. Fun game, 7 o'clock matchup. And we've got the ABC primetime 7:30 game, the University of Pennsylvania taking on Ohio State. And I've got the Buckeyes dropping a 60-burger on Penn State. I personally have a lot of respect for Penn State's program. Ohio State has really struggled to blow Penn State out in the previous years. I think this is the perfect scenario. This is the perfect setup for Ohio State to blow Penn State out. You've got a quarterback who's iffy, questionable coming in with an injury. This Penn State team, the head coaching rumors with James Franklin. Is he going to leave? Is this Penn State team quitting? Ohio State completely hitting on all cylinders right now. It's crazy. 7:30, scarlet out. Everyone's wearing red. C.J. Stroud, 7 touchdown passes, question mark. It might happen, folks. It might happen. 60-burger for Ohio State here. Buckeyes win huge. Absolutely huge. 63-17. This is a really fun game. North Carolina at Notre Dame, 7:30 matchup. This is on NBC. I've got North Carolina getting a big win, kind of an upset over Notre Dame. The thing is, I keep picking against Notre Dame. Well, I did pick Notre Dame to win last week against USC, but closer than the game actually was. But North Carolina, Sam Howell. This is really Sam Howell's last chance to make his case to be a top 5, top 3 pick in the NFL draft. This is his last big exposure. They're not going to a big bowl game. Everyone's saying Sam Howell, he's not, North Carolina, they haven't had a great season, whatever. This is their last chance. This is going to be a very motivated Mac Brown-led North Carolina team going into Notre Dame. And Notre Dame, they're a decent team, but they're beatable. They're beatable, and I think this is a perfect chance for an upset. Sam Howell, Josh Downs, North Carolina, get it done. They beat Notre Dame 37-31. High-scoring, fun night game. We've got the late window, 10:15 start. Virginia taking on BYU and Brendan Armstrong. Really fun matchup here. I have Virginia, the road team. Brendan Armstrong, you got to give him credit. He's played phenomenally. I believe he's first in FPS in passing yards. BYU, good team. They've struggled recently. I believe they're back up to 25th in the poll. That's why they're on this here, because I only, cover the ranked teams. So give me Virginia. And if Virginia wins this game, they're going to be 7-2, and I think they're going to be ranked. They should be ranked if they win this game at BYU. What an interesting mid-season, interesting mid-season non-conference matchup. Virginia traveling 10:15 start time. That's an interesting matchup. If I was a Virginia fan, I'd be pretty excited, but I'd be like, man, 10:15, that's a late game. Very interesting matchup there. We've got this is the late game, 10:30 matchup, Fresno State at San Diego State. Can the Aztecs continue their undefeated season against an upstart Fresno State team? Absolutely. It's going to come down to the wire. San Diego State, good defensive team. Fresno State, we remember, really hung in there against Oregon. They've had some nice wins on the season. They were a fringe top 25 team there for a little bit, but San Diego State unbeaten. This is a game they could lose. They are at home, 10:30 Eastern time start time, late window. A lot of fun games this week here on Halloween week. But that is going to do it for all of these ranked games, guys. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.